All right, welcome back to the Travel Coach Network podcast. It is I, Sahar Rose Devor, the founder and CEO of the Travel Coach Network and the creator and instructor of the Travel Coach Certification Program. Today, we have another member of the Travel Coach Certification Program, a graduate and a member of the TCN, Monica Nieuwland. Monica is the first in her field, a compassionate trauma recovery travel coach and visionary guide on the journey to mastering life after trauma. With a profound understanding in the healing power of travel, Monica is dedicated to helping individuals navigate the path to wellness with purpose and resilience. As a travel visionary and someone who has overcome decades of her own physical and mental health struggles, she believes that exploring the world can be a transformative tool for rebuilding one's life. Monica empowers her clients to embark on intentional journeys that go beyond geographical landscapes, guiding them to discover inner strength, reclaim joy, and rewrite their life's narratives. Through personalized coaching and curated travel experiences, Monica inspires individuals to not only survive, but to thrive in the wake of adversity, fostering a renewed sense of self and a brighter vision for the future. Monica, thanks so much for joining us on the TCN podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
We were just mentioning right before we begin, you were a speaker. We're one of the 15 speakers at the Women Thrive to Travel Mastermind event. Super inspirational. So for those who missed that event, you can hear some of Monica's stories and what she does today on this episode. But before we dive into all of that, Monica, share with us, where did your passion for travel stem from?
I did not grow up traveling, so I didn't have sort of that introduction growing up or anything. It definitely wasn't until I was in my adolescence and in my early 20s that I started to do some traveling on my own and quickly realized just it's how the power of travel just is so positive in people's lives, and it really has helped me in a lot of ways, as you said in that introduction. It's really been a transformative tool for me to get over a lot of struggles that I've had in my life. And so for the last 10 years, I have been taking trips every single year and exploring, little kind of hidden nooks in the world and going to some of the more, famous landmarks, of course, but and everything in between. So it's been awesome.
But what was it about travel that attracted you to travel? So you have, you briefly mentioned your history with your own health and mental health struggles. And what is it that was like, I need to go on a trip? It's travel that I'm going to turn to. Because as an afterthought, we were like, well, wow, travel's so healing. But there was a point where you didn't realize just how powerful it
Yeah.
was, right? We all start somewhere. So what was it that drew you to going on a trip?
Yeah. So I did. I grew up in a very chaotic family. My childhood was quite chaotic, and I was really trying to figure out a way to sort of change the path of my life because it had, throughout this chaos, it had led to self-destructive behaviors, and I was just really in this negative cycle in my life, and I was surrounded by people who were sort of in this cycle as well, and I knew I needed to make a change, and I knew it needed to be a big change, but I really didn't know what to do. And I can remember specifically this one day where I was just really at my wit's end. I was, sitting on my bed, I was crying, I was just absolutely felt so defeated and stuck, and I didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden it sort of just hit me, just get away as far as you can. And when I was at the time, I was living in Canada, so I was like, okay, where can I go, where can I get away that it was totally different and sort of a fresh start is the way I was looking at it. And so on a whim, I just decided, and I just that day booked a one-way ticket to Australia, which I know sounds kind of crazy, but in my mind, I was living in just an absolute hell. And anything, I knew that, even though that was going to be a challenge, that was going to be difficult, and I was going to have to figure things out. Like I said, I didn't grow up traveling. So this was going to be a learning curve for me. I knew that it had to be better than my current situation. And after a few months, I was working, saved my butt off, and did the planning, and off I went to Australia. And almost instantly, my life began to improve. And um, there's a lot of ways in which travel, positively impacts people's lives. Um, but for myself, it was so transformative because, for one, I had removed myself from that chaos, like I mentioned. I had totally changed my environment. And yeah, this was scary and unpredictable as well. But I was doing something solely just to benefit myself. I didn't care about sort of anyone else's opinions. I knew I could figure it out. I knew that I had applied for a working visa, so I was going there to work. So I knew I wasn't going to be just like stranded in the middle of nowhere or anything. Um, and so like within the first 2 weeks or so, I realized that, like, wow, I was really undoing a lot of the years of the trauma that I had been suppressing. And I was really stepping into like this new person. And I think that's because I was giving myself the space to be able to do that. I had, like I said, I had removed myself from my environment. And when you do that, you gain clarity and you gain that perspective, because you sort of free up your mental space for something new. And that was really, really positive for me. And of course, people are going to say like traveling's beautiful, and it is amazing. But it wasn't just the time that I was away. It actually had a greater impact, I'd say, almost when I returned, because I knew at that point that like life could be a lot better. And growing up in so much abuse and abandonment, and I had all these issues I had to sort out, I was able to really work on that self-development piece for myself. And when I returned, I had that self-love, I had that confidence that life could be better. I had that proof, I guess, in my hands. So for me, that first sort of big trip, before that I had been to the United States, but it was only for like a 1 week spring break. And it was the year before I went to Australia. So I kind of had like a little itch, but this was obviously completely different. And yeah, that first trip really, really did change the course of my life, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people can really relate to that. It sounds like you were seeking a sense of escape. And I think that when we see words in the travel industry like getaway and, escape, travel really does travel is oftentimes that escape for many people. I know for myself, when I was finally doing the work and figuring out, why did I really start traveling other than the pretty answers that I tell all of you guys members in the certification program, not to talk about the pretty answers like adventure and exploration and connection and trying new foods and seeing new sites, which are we obviously do, but that's not really why we turn to travel.
Mhm.
And so when I realized for myself that I too was running from something of my own mental health issues and struggles and unhappiness and stuff too, without really knowing what travel was really going to do for me. Because as you knew, you booked a ticket to Australia, but you didn't know exactly how you were going to feel and what was going to happen.
Mhm.
We can't predict the future. We're new to travel. We don't understand yet really what is so powerful about it yet. But that's why travel coaches like yourself are so important to helping people obtain their own transformative journeys and use travel as this tool, this vessel for change and transformation and healing and growth and everything that is similar to what you've experienced, because we now understand, hey, this is just how beneficial travel can be for us, right? But what
Yeah.
inspired you? What inspired you to become a travel coach? So you had your own journey and you
Mhm.
realized, wow, travel is so important. Why did you ever become a travel agent? Why didn't you just become a travel agent? Like what inspired you to want to coach others?
Yeah. So like becoming a travel coach was like exactly what I needed. This is not my first kick at the can as far as trying to start up a travel business. Like a decade ago, when I was sort of like at my peak of like all my traveling, I was doing some blogging. I was, gaining a social media presence. I was sharing a lot about that experience, and it was a lot easier to sort of get eyes on me at that point a decade ago, like on Instagram and stuff like that. So I had toyed around with the idea, and I actually had a website, and I was trying to sort of get that up and going to see if I could turn that into more of a business. And um, I have a degree in international development, so I had ended up doing some contracts overseas in that line of work. So it always kind of became a back burner sort of hobby for me. And then in the last 2 years, I really started to re-examine like, avenues of my life that, what would I love about working? Like, I wanted to do something that I was really passionate about. I knew travel was like, the top of the list. And I wanted to do it in a way that I could show people how I had been able to travel, how impactful it was to me. And the first step was I became a travel agent. And I do travel bookings for people still. But now I combine it with travel coaching. So I had done that for a few months and quickly realized that the travel agency work is primarily with like, and it's not a blanket statement, but it's mostly people who want all-inclusive vacations and cruises and that sort of work. And that's not how I have traveled. And that's not really where I provide value for my clients. So I started to figure out, okay, well, where or how could I sort of pivot? And then I came across the Travel Coach Network. And, this has been such a wonderful journey because I've met so many other people who were basically, we're all sharing the same narrative. It's like, we know there's so much more power behind travel than just going on a 1 week vacation. And I think that any sort of travel is good. So it's not taking away from those experiences. But as far as how I've traveled and being able to share sort of what that looks like and how people can achieve these similar, types of getaways, becoming a travel coach is much more in line with that because it is about finding that deeper purpose. It is about, not just picking the cheapest thing that's on sale and, really being thoughtful behind like a curated you know, trip. So I found the Travel Coach Network and, right away I knew that this was sort of the box that I needed to be in as far as my business goes.
Um, yeah, I understand that more and more because I never went down the route of being a travel agent because I just knew it wasn't my thing. My anxiety is too high to take ownership and responsibility over someone's itinerary and bookings and stuff. I've done it for my own friends and family, and it caused me too much stress. But
It is stressful, yeah.
I always believe there had to be something more. But there's been a big influx of travel agents coming in and travel agents, travel advisors coming into the
Yeah.
Travel Coach Network. And I learned more and more through all of you guys what you're looking for because there's nothing wrong with wanting to plan and book trips. It just wasn't personally for me.
Hmm.
But I hear a lot of things like, well, I have this niche and this is who I serve. So I serve just cruise, people going on cruises, or I only serve, all inclusives or just family travel or just luxury travel or Disney or whatever it might be, because the industry has kind of put you in categories like that
Yeah.
and trained you that way. And I think more and more people are realizing that, hey, I want more purpose put into my business, my travel business. I want to use my knowledge and understanding and belief in travel to really, truly help people use travel as this tool for changing their lives and creating
Hmm.
meaningful experiences. So I love hearing how you realize that as well. But share people I'm sure are listening and are asking like, Monica, what is a trauma recovery travel coach? Like what do you actually help people with? What do you work with them on?
Yeah. So I I call myself a trauma recovery travel coach because when I was putting the pieces together of like, what is it, like, what sort of sets me apart, I knew that I had gotten over a lot of my trauma through travel. So I wanted to combine the two. I'm sort of turning my mess into a message or like turning this pain into, you know, something that's more purposeful. So that was sort of like, that was the reason why I did that. And I felt that a lot of people would understand that, yeah, there is wellness, types of travel. Like that is, in a general term, that is what I do. I do work with clients to build and collaborate with them to, build this wellness experience. But I do a lot more of the like psychology mindset practices with them. So it just goes a step further, and I work in that sort of mental health area as well. So a lot of like pre-work that we do, and then we help, I help them plan that trip, and then give them activities while they're actually on that trip to work on like their mindset and gratitude and things like that, as just some examples. And then when they come back as well, so that they can integrate some of those practices into their day-to-day life. Because when you are in sort of a negative space mentally, and I'm sure a lot of people can understand this, you know, of course, changing your like immediate environment is going to help. But then you have to get, sort of reality sets in again, and you have to be able to navigate that after this lovely experience. So my coaching doesn't just end with like at that trip. I do support my clients past that as well, so that they're able to continue that, have that momentum back in their day-to-day life when they return, so that they can keep, you know, that more healthy lifestyle going for themselves. And so trauma recovery travel coach is really just a, is a title that is working with people who are trying to overcome some things as far as their past goes. And I usually don't work with clients who are in sort of like the thick of it. Usually I work with clients that are, they have tried some traditional methods of healing, like counseling and therapy, and that's, incredibly important, and is very important at certain times of your life and your healing journey. But if you're still feeling stuck, and which is where I was at, I felt really, really, really stuck, and I didn't know how to change my situation. I didn't know how to sort of break into that next chapter. Having a really transformative travel experience, or really impactful, purposeful travel experience, is going to really aid in that healing journey, and really help you to start that recovery, or break into that next chapter.
Yeah, I can understand why it would open new opportunities, new doors, new ideas, new perspectives that other methods wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of our listeners are like, but what credentials do you have on tapping into that mental health space? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I don't have any certification as far as like in trauma recovery. And, I certainly make that clear when I'm dealing with my clients, that this is really sort of that next step in your healing journey. Most people have tried those traditional methods, and they've dealt with doctors, professionals. I do an assessment with my clients to make sure that we are on the same page as far as that goes, because at the end of the day, what I'm trying, to help with is to show some tools, some new practices that they can keep implementing in their life, beyond just that, in that travel experience, but also beyond that. So it's not, I have considered going in that direction, but that becomes very sort of clinical, and there's a lot of regulations around that. And I'm really trying to help my clients with that, opening of their mindset to a different type of modality, as opposed to going a little bit more medical.
Yeah, we talk about and we teach you guys in the program of how to make it very clear of what your role and your expectations are of your clients and of the clients have of you, and having proper contracts in place and all of that good stuff. So it sounds like you are
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
being clear, and in any sort of coaching, it's important to help help your clients understand that you're not providing legal, medical advice
Hmm.
of any sort, and that you point them in the right direction or help guide them towards, the professionals who are able to do that. It's just a fundamental of coaching, and that's something that we, help and you understand in the program
Yeah.
as well. But talking about the
Yeah.
program, can you share what the being a part of the Travel Coach Network and being you're now a graduate of this certification program, what it has done for you in your journey as a travel coach and a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Travel Coach Network and some of the, I'm part of the membership as well. And it is really given like a whole the community aspect, I guess, really gives a like such a supportive network of people who, although we have all of these different niches, um, everyone is really out to help people. And I love doing collaborations, and I love getting to meet people and seeing that there's usually like some sort of crossover for sure, because at the end of the day, we're all teaching people how you can sort of travel better and easier and all of that sort of stuff. But um that's kind of like what sets us apart from travel agents, and like why I'm pivoting more towards the travel coaching as opposed to the agent, because um it's a very open network of people who are all sort of on the same page, sharing like all of the beautiful messages. We're learning from each other. We're learning like what's working, because of course travel is very dynamic and things are always updating. We've just come out of the last 4 years. Things have changed a lot. So really learning from each other. Everyone's very open. That was something that I didn't experience with the travel agency groups that I was in. I will say that there's been definitely a difference there. But I mean, and then as far as the program goes, it completely laid the foundation for me to be able to start and open up my business. It gave you because when I came into it, I knew I wanted to turn my mess into a message. I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that I could, it was like, heal through travel, which is sort of my slogan. And I couldn't figure out how to do that. And so going through your program from the beginning to end, I know I was speaking with another coach who hasn't graduated yet, but she was saying, I don't really know exactly what my niche is yet. And I'm like, don't worry. As you're going through the program, you're going to be able to figure that out. You've provided all the tools to be able to really look at like, what is your story? Where were those sort of key moments in your life, and, how travel impacted you, and being able to look at that and pull it all together so that it was true to the message that you want to put out to everybody. And it makes sense for like your own particular business. So I know my, trauma recovery is sort of a heavy topic. Of course it is. But it's my reality, and it's something that I think, I'm hoping that more and more people are becoming open to talking about mental health, and it's very important for me. I've appreciated all the support that I've gotten. And so, yeah, definitely. I was very grateful to be able to share my message on the Women Thrive Through Travel, and get to connect with a lot of those other industry professionals as well. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
been great.
Well, we're so happy to hear, and that's something we hear often is just the community aspect in the Travel Coach Network. I say it time and time again. I know I'm like the creator of this and I'm, the face of it, but it's really each and every one of you in the community, in the program, in the network that really make it what it is, because you all have something so unique to share, and how travel has impacted you, and how you're trying to help people in different ways through travel. And you guys are the shining stars here, and we're just facilitating that path and doing the best we can to help you all through that.
Well, you're doing a
And
good job.
thank you. And I love seeing you guys connect with one another, because business is not easy, life's not easy,
Mhm.
travel's not easy. So being able to um find support systems throughout your journey, no matter what type of journey you're on, is really important. And because I just know just how incredible all of you humans are, so I want you guys to be able to connect with each other, because I'm I have the honor of being able to meet with a lot of you one on one and get to hear you and your stories, and I just know that you guys are just like travel, we meet incredible people in the Travel Coach Network, is just as many incredible people to connect with as well. But thank you so much for all those kind words about the program. We really it makes us so happy to hear how just transformative the program and community are for all of you.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it's great.
We are getting towards the end of our episode today, but I always love to ask, is there a fun fact about yourself that you can share with our audience? And it doesn't have to be business or travel related.
Yeah. The first thing that comes to my mind is that I've lived in 5 countries. So I'm Canadian. I lived in Australia. I lived in Dominican, Ecuador. But what's the unusual one is that I spent 8 months living in Saudi Arabia. And I went there in 2017 and opened up an international women's college. And yeah, so 2017, yes, that was before all of the tourism and stuff opened. So it was a different world for sure. But it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine. Well, that's incredible. I didn't know that about you. So
Yeah.
thanks for that fun fact. Um, is there anything, how can people find and follow you and learn more about you and what you're doing in your travel coaching business?
Yeah, so pretty well everything that I have, all my social medias, including my website, it's all my name. So Monica Newland. There is a lot of vowels in there. So I know you're gonna have something linked in the show notes. So all my social media is just Monica Newland. I have also started a community group myself that I would love for people to check out, and I can give you that to share as well. And I have a freebie on my website if anyone's interested in learning more about wellness travel and what that might look like and how to put together a transformative experience for yourself. And yeah, on my website, you can see all the different types of offers that I have and my coaching packages and things like that. So all my information's on there, how to book, all of that good stuff.
Wonderful. We will be sure to put all of those links in our show notes. Monica, thank you so much for being a guest on the TCN podcast today.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is great. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Everyone, please be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Travel Coach Network. Learn more at thetravelcoachnetwork.com. Come give us a hello in our TCN Global Community on Facebook. You can find the link for that and your free beginner's guide to travel coaching in the show notes, along with all of Monica's links as well. If you know anyone who might be interested in travel coaching, please be sure to send them our way to our podcast. We truly appreciate it. And until next time, my fellow wanderers, bye for now.